Hi everybody, this is Cheryl Richardson trying to sign on again. I'm not sure this is working. We are having issues with, there we go. If you can see me, could you just give me a thumbs up? We're having issues with connectivity, as a lot of people do, so hopefully this will continue. Yes, I see you. Hi Natalie, thank you, and thanks Alexandra. Let's all cross our fingers, let's all visualize that that we stay online. I always hate to start that way, but I've tried the video a few times. It looks like it's going to work. I'm going to trust it's going to work. Anyway, welcome. It's this week's live coaching session, and I just want to give you a warning that we are in the middle of construction here at our house, and it might get a little loud. I'm hoping it doesn't. It turns out that today there's a whole bunch of people here, and there's saws and banging, and people are ripping stone off the front of our house because we've had a major water issue, and so they're ripping stone off the house and identifying all of the rotted wood underneath. Not fun. But here's the good news. We have an unbelievable builder who's taking care of it. Really great team of guys. They've been amazing. And so I have been just trying to be loving and kind and affirming that all is well and it's working. So all the stuff that, I've taught over the years that a lot of us teach about keeping a positive attitude, the power of our intention and our thinking, being open and receptive to goodness, and being loving and kind. I'm here to tell you it works even in the most difficult circumstances, even though I'm very fortunate to have a home, and I'm aware of that. And I'm aware that I'm very fortunate to be able to fix the problem. Nonetheless, it's a little stressful, but that's okay. We're making it an adventure. So I'm here to support you. I posted earlier on Facebook just letting people know that I was reminding all of you of today's Facebook Live session. And some people posted some questions, and I wanted to just honor my promise to get to some of them. And I'm just sort of picking through here the ones I think will be helpful to most people. Maria writes, the question I have is I'm getting more motivated. I have a habit of starting projects like organizing the house, exercising, and then I stop a little bit later, not wanting to go the distance like I have in the past. Now here's Maria's clue. I was doing 2 hours of exercise almost every day. Then I started slacking and did 60 minutes, and now I won't even complete 30. I've had some health challenges, and this has contributed to me not feeling as motivated. Any thoughts on this would be much appreciated. Yeah, Maria, I think you want to set yourself up for success. And the fact that you started out by exercising 2 hours a day, my husband, who is a fitness expert, a bodybuilder, somebody who's been working out for 40 years, and he started when he was 10 years old and looks like a Greek god, I might add. Proudly, she says. I mean, he's in great shape. He doesn't work out 2 hours a day. He works out an hour to an hour and a half a day, but 2 hours is a lot. And so if I would imagine that most people, if they had set out to do things like exercise for 2 hours a day, would eventually fail, would eventually start slacking off. So what does that mean about other things like getting organized? For most of us, we tend to set high expectations because usually we've waited too long to address a problem. And then when we finally get around to addressing the problem, we feel like, my God, I've got to get this handled. I've got to lose 30 pounds in a week. I've got to declutter my home because it looks like a bomb went off in it. I've got to get organized because I've been disorganized all my life. And so we tend to go for have these huge expectations and then put a huge amount of pressure on ourselves. And then eventually what happens is we just say, okay, enough already, I can't handle this. So it makes complete sense to me, Maria, that the clue is in setting realistic expectations right up front. Now, my sister Kerri, who I've talked about before, whose book came out called What Your Clutter is Trying to Tell You, talks about the Pomodoro technique in her book, which is setting a timer for 25 minutes and only working for 25 minutes and then stopping and taking a break, taking a rest. She never recommends trying to get organized all in like a day or a week. She talks about 25-minute little action-oriented periods. And so I would really encourage you to start setting some goals. And instead of deciding you're going to exercise 2 hours a day, which I think is just way too much regardless, like I would never even work myself up to that. Instead, what you want to do is just say, you know what, for 20 minutes a day, I'm going to go for a walk. And just build on that and give yourself a week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks to build up that habit. And then you might add 5 minutes to it and then 5 more minutes. You see, for all of us, same thing with organizing. I'm going to do one Pomodoro round, 25 minutes, kitchen timer. And then I'll do another. And then I'll do another. And what we end up doing is we end up building momentum. We build on success. And the trick in making that work is to do what you need to do to feel okay with where you are right now in your life. So in some ways, this goes back to the practice of presence that I talk about a lot, being more present in your life. In this moment, when you're not running old programming from the past or worrying about the future, in this moment, all is well. And if you can cultivate this practice of things being well in this moment, then you're not going to be panicked about trying to get the whole house organized or to get the 30 pounds off your body. So it's about making peace with the present moment, making peace with the present, and then chipping away little by little over time, giving yourself a break, Maria, instead of expecting yourself to do way too much. I remember years ago, long time ago, I think it was when Madonna came out with the video Truth or Dare, and I was watching Truth or Dare, and I said to my husband, Michael, oh my gosh, look at that woman's body. She's in incredible shape. And I said to him, what do I need to do to get a body like Madonna? I remember I said this to him. And this is a man who's been working with people on fitness issues and losing weight for a long time. He wrote a great book called The Mind-Body Makeover Program, which I would really recommend, Maria, you picking that up. In it is a test called the UFO test. And when you take the test, it identifies the top 10 reasons why you can't lose weight and keep it off. And it's really accurate. And it's not just looking at, exercise and diet. It looks at everything, biochemical issues, structural issues in the body, the inability to ask for help, seasonal affective disorder. Like there's a whole array of things that get in the way of us sticking to something. It's never that we're lazy. It's that there's something an obstacle we haven't identified. And in his book, he created this brilliant test that helps people to identify the top 10 obstacles to getting in shape and losing weight. And so anyway, I would recommend you pick up a copy of that. You can find it on Amazon, The Mind-Body Makeover Project. That said, when I said to Michael, how can I get a body like Madonna? You know what he said to me, Maria? He said, you can work out 5 hours a day. That woman, I guarantee you, spends at least 5 hours in the gym, and she's warming up, and she's stretching, and she's doing strength training every day, and she's doing intense cardiovascular exercise because she's chosen to make that her primary focus in life. And if you want to make that your primary focus instead of writing and coaching and being my wife and, doing what you do in the world, then you can work out, you can get Madonna's body too. So he really put it in perspective for me. It made a lot of sense. And no, I did not decide to get Madonna's body. I'll take my own, thank you very much. Anyway, thanks, Maria, for the question. And Sarah wants to know, do you have effective strategies to break large projects down into small, more manageable steps? And once again, I just answered that. The Pomodoro technique, you can find it in what your clutter is trying to tell you. Here, I have it right here next to me. Let's see if I can do this. Yes, I can. Let's see, there we go. Can you see it? What your clutter is trying to tell you. Not what your clutter is trying to tell me. It's what your clutter is trying to tell you by Cheryl Richardson. And you can pick up a copy of that book, and she talks just about that, Sarah, breaking big tasks down into small tasks and making peace with your clutter and getting organized and getting rid of all the stuff in your life that you no longer need. And then Bionic Gabe says, hi Cheryl, I was wondering if you could talk about what to do when you're bored in your career path and you've reached a plateau. What affirmations do you use to manifest financial flow? Affirmations is not the first place I would go about financial flow, Bionic Gabe. I'm going to call you Gabe. I would say that the first thing, we all reach plateaus in our life when we've done the same thing over and over and over again. So if you're working in a field or at a job that you've been in for a long time and you know what you're doing and you just sort of feel like, enough already, I'm not challenged in new ways, then the first thing I would look at is if you like your job and you like the people that you work for, then I wonder if you could take on new challenges at work, ask for more responsibility or different responsibility, or really make it a goal to bring more to the workplace, to bring more, to just bring more of your talents and gifts to work to make a difference there. I can't imagine any boss that would be disappointed in that. As a matter of fact, many bosses would be absolutely thrilled with that. So what can you do differently at your job? Now, part of the reason I say that is, and I say this all the time, having a consistent source of income is so important. And so you want to make sure that you don't leave a job without having a consistent source of income, because trying to find a new job or to build a new career when you're under financial stress is really difficult. It's unsettling, it's frustrating, it's scary, and we never put our best foot forward when we're feeling financial stress and pressure. So if you can do something to reinvigorate your job and your workplace, that would be a great way to start. And then I would recommend that you take some time to really explore who you are at this time in your life. When we reach plateaus, we don't just reach professional plateaus, but those of us who invest in our own personal development and our own personal growth also reach personal plateaus where who we are needs to evolve. We need to grow and evolve, and we need to, oftentimes we need to challenge ourselves, we need to face new fears, we need to learn something new, we need to take risks. The old saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. I mean, we all need to be evolving in some way in order to feel engaged in life and to feel excited about the lives that we live. So it's not just a career conversation. I also wonder, Gabe, if you've grown and you've changed in some way, and if that then means that circumstances in your life need to change over time. Sometimes our relationships change, the work that we do, the place that we work, where we live, sometimes big things change. And I feel like there's a lot of change up for people right now. I think the eclipse has something to do with it, to tell you the truth. I definitely felt the energy shift with the eclipse. I wonder how many of you did. If you felt like, like mild anxiety or some kind of just energy during the eclipse, just send a thumbs up across. I'd be curious to know how many of you felt something. I thought the eclipse was really cool. I didn't see it. I mean, I saw it, through the paper like everybody else does, through one of the guys that was working on the house actually had created this piece of paper. Yeah, a lot of people felt the shift, had created this piece of paper and was able to show the moon in front of the sun on the piece of paper in front of it. But I definitely felt something, and clearly a lot of other people did too. Yes. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, Gabe. And now I'm going to go to your questions. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to scroll back. Let me put on my glasses so I can see a little better here. I'm going to just scroll back a little bit. I'm going to look at some of your questions. And I'm going to just say hello to some of you too as well. Thank you all for being here. Hi, Dana and Joshua and Judy and Nancy and let's see. Hi, Bradley. Thank you for being here. Jessica and Nicole and Donna. Hi, Donna. And Maisie. Thank you, Maisie. Let's see. So if you have a question, you can even put a Q in front of it. Someone, Kavi says, I read that you can change a habit after 20 days. Yeah, that's what I hear. 20, 21 days, I've heard that for a long time. I actually think you just need a little momentum under your belt and things can really change. Okay. Let's see. So Nicole says, how would one do what they know they should do? Feeling underwhelmed and unmotivated. Well, that's, Nicole, the first thing to recognize is you need to be motivated by something. So, for example, let's say you wanted to lose weight. It's not enough to just say, I'm a fat pig, I need to lose weight. Like, nobody gets motivated by that. But you could make a list of the 25 ways that your life would change, the ways that your thinking would change, the ways that your life would change, the ways that your daily habits would change if you were to lose the weight, as a way to just kind of remind yourself of what would be inspiring about it for you, how, to just sort of connect with what is it that makes you really want to make changes? How can you get leverage by getting clear about your motivation behind the change? And usually that's not the first answer that we give. So, it'd be interesting to know what kind of change, Nicole, you want to make. So why don't you just type in and let me know, what kind of change do you want to make? And also the other thing I want to say is, when you talk about what you should do, I have cat hair on my lips. When you talk about what you should do, you might want to just change the language to what you could do instead of what you should do. What could you do? In other words, I should lose 25 pounds, but I could take a walk today. I should really find a new job, but I could just update my resume. I should be a better parent. I could just tell my son how much I love him right now, or leave a note somewhere. So instead of the should, what could you do? And what do you need to do to feel inspired and to feel motivated? And once again, I go back to what I said to Marie in the very beginning, and that is, and I'm just looking because I want to say, is it Marie or Maria? Maria. Yeah, what I said to Marie in the very beginning. Start small. Set yourself up for success instead of having big expectations for yourself. Okay. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Thank you, Kathleen, and hi, Hazel. Dieta, I'm so sorry. She says, I lost my dad 2 days ago. I know you know what it feels like. I do know what it feels like, sweetheart. I do know what it feels like. And this is a time for extreme self-care. It's a time to really, really take good care of yourself. And, cancel as many things as you can. Just allow yourself to be in whatever setting feels safe and comfortable to you. Let yourself cry as much as you need to. Be around safe people who can just be present for you without saying anything or doing anything. You really, really want to just really practice extreme self-care. Don't make any major decisions. Don't have any expectations of yourself. Just let yourself really take as long as you need to just be with I just remember feeling just so stunned, so deeply sad first, and then stunned, and then exhausted. I remember sleeping for several hours, and then waking up and then having it hit me again, and just crying, and then just kind of spacing out, feeling spacey. There's just a whole bunch of things that happen when we lose somebody we love and we're trying to deal with it. And just being really loving and kind and not having any expectations. I send you lots of love, and I'm going to put you, I'm putting you in my prayer book, Dieta. And I wish you all the very best. Let's send her love, shall we, everybody? Just send a heart across the airwaves here. Let's just for a moment, take a moment and just imagine beaming lots of love to Dieta as she deals with the loss of her dad right now. And I hope you can feel our love and our good wishes to you, our healing thoughts and our deep empathy for this loss, regardless of the kind of relationships we have with the loved ones that leave us. It is tragically hard. It just is. And I send you lots of love, sweetheart. Okay. Let's see. Dawn says, how do I stay strong and keep fighting through chronic illness? Well, it's interesting, Dawn. I wonder what would happen if you stopped fighting and you decided to surrender to something greater, a power greater than you, to a higher mind. Dawn, I'm going to recommend two things. I'm going to recommend a book that my friend Kelly recommended to me. I may not get the name right, but I'll post it as part of the resources for this session. It's called The Great Pain Deception. The Great Pain Deception. And I would really, really encourage you, Dawn, strongly encourage you to get that book. It's a really terrific book, I think, for people dealing with chronic illness, chronic pain. And chronic illness, by the way. So The Great Pain Deception, that's a book I would recommend, and I would read it carefully and slowly. And then I would also recommend, I love Joe Dispenza's work, and his you can get it from iTunes. It's called The Introduction. I just want you to do this, Dawn. Introduction to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And again, I'll include it in the resources. So Dr. Joe Dispenza, The Introduction to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I would encourage you to get the audio of that. And I would encourage you to listen to it 3 times, Dawn. One time each day. Joe does a great, I really love his work. And he really, I found him to be the simplest, clearest he provides the simplest, clearest teaching on how we get, how we are the product of old neural networks, old programming, and how we can begin to change the way we think about things, including chronic pain, so that we can encourage the brain to start thinking differently. And when we think differently, we feel differently. And when we feel differently, we think differently. And both of those things, how we think and how we feel, have a direct impact on our genes and on the body and on our health and on pain. So, and Joe's got he's got an awesome book that's coming out. It's called Becoming Supernatural. It'll be out, I think, in November. And I just finished reading the manuscript, and it is fantastic from beginning to end. It's a big book, and it's got everything you need to know about about operating this brain in your head. And but just the introduction to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is a wonderful beginning to his work. And what you learn in that introduction can change your life, Dawn. So those are some recommendations I would make for you about dealing with chronic illness and chronic pain. Okay. Preetha says, what's the best way to constantly re-energize ourselves? Also interesting when I think about Joe Dispenza, there's this breathing exercise he talks about in his new book that's fantastic. Breath alone is a way to re-energize the body. You would be astounded if you had your oxygen levels measured. If you were able to measure the level of oxygen in your blood on a regular basis, you would discover how shallow your breathing is. When we breathe deep, all the way down into the belly, not up in the chest, you notice most of us do this, which is shallow breathing. But when we breathe deep down into the body, and even when you hold the breath for a little bit and then let it out slowly, you re-energize the body, you re-oxygenate the blood. And that's one of the simple ways that we can re-energize ourselves. The other simple way is to set 10-minute alarm on your phone and just develop a practice of presence. Let your busy mind do whatever it's going to do. Let your thoughts float by, think whatever you want to think, but decide that you love yourself enough to keep your butt in that chair for 10 minutes. You don't get up until the alarm goes off. If you do that for a week, Preetha, you will discover this very powerful way to re-energize yourself, to rebalance your brain, to get reorganized, to reorganize your brain so that your life can be reorganized. I do it all the time, to the point now where if I'm stressed out or overwhelmed by something, I've been trying to do it during the construction. It's not that easy. But when I'm stressed out and overwhelmed by something, I just go get quiet somewhere and I just sit down and I close my eyes. I set the alarm. That's important. Set the alarm and then close my eyes. And when I'm 10 minutes later, I feel like a completely different human being. Hey, Jackie, welcome. I'm glad this is your first time being here and I'm glad you're here. Hi, Pam. Hey, Robin. Mwah. Robin, hi, sweetheart. I'm glad to see you here. Robin is like my Robin, like my Batman to Robin. Robin manages our retreats, and she attends the retreats, and she's going to be this October at our Healthcare by the Sea retreat, where we're going to be talking about all things brain and body and soul and health related, becoming an empowered patient, and how to grow older, being healthy, fit, and strong, and able to do things into your 90s and into the hundreds. So it's going to be great. Robin will be there. She takes good care of everybody. All right, let's see. Xmena says, where can I get your sister's book? I live in Germany. It's a good question. I know that it's available in the United States. I know that Hay House published it. Chances are they'll be making it available. If you check online, I guess I don't think it's out in other languages yet, but I bet it will be. So I will post it in the resource section, so you'll have her name, Cheryl Richardson, and you can search for it. Maybe you can get it shipped to you from Amazon. All right, let's see. Jessica says, cat hair, the story of my life. I know, right? Let's see. Terry says, how can I help my husband deal with frustrating situations at work? He comes home angry and frustrated and wants to vent about things. I try to be patient, but would love some suggestions. Yeah, it's hard. You know, it's hard when our loved ones are struggling with things, and especially it's hard when our loved ones struggle with things and we see like what they should be doing or what we think they should be doing. First of all, Terry, I want to say, let's never underestimate the power of listening to help people make changes, first of all. I've really learned this being married to Michael. You know, I need to listen more and coach less. I need to just let him talk things through. Michael's a very sensitive man, and he's got a well-developed feminine side. It's one of the things I love most about him. And so I've had to really learn to just listen. So there needs to be a period of just listening without interrupting, giving advice, telling him what to do. And then I think the simple question sometimes, how can I support you? What can I do to support you? Now you might hear, Terry, you know what, just listening to me is support enough. And it may be that if the same complaint goes on and on and on over weeks and weeks and weeks, then you might need to say to him at some point, listen, I really love you and I can tell that you're struggling at work. And it's getting harder and harder for me to listen to the same venting. So I'd like to support you in taking some action. Can we brainstorm together what you might do? Or can I offer to help you get some support, like maybe a career counselor or a coach? So the step one is to listen. Step two is to simply say, how can I support you best right now? And then step three is going to be, if it continues and it feels overwhelming, then step three might be, how can I help you get the support you need? I'm happy to do research. I'm happy to help you put a resume together. You know, whatever it is, this has been going on long enough and I don't want you to suffer anymore. Let's try to do something about this. Like really sort of partner in that way. And if it goes to step four, which is he's just chronically complaining and all he wants to do is just chronically complain over and over and over again, then you may need to get firmer. You may need to say to him, look, sweetheart, I love you, but we can't go on like this. Something needs to change. And so if we can't figure it out, then we need to get some help to figure it out. And maybe that's counseling, maybe it's career counseling, maybe it's coaching, but let's do something about this. Let's not live like this anymore. That's step 4 though. All right, Terry? I hope that's helpful. Thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. Thanks, Caroline. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so Christy says, how do I get out of a rut? I feel like my life is really stagnant right now. I have a lot to be thankful for, but I have this nagging feeling that I need to do something else or something different with my life. I just don't know where to start. Okay, so let's take away the I need to do something different with my life, because that's huge, okay? And that feels overwhelming to most people. I call that A to Z thinking. A is, I don't feel very good. I feel a little stuck. And Z is, I got to change my whole life. Most people are going to stay stuck if they think that way. Christy, one of the first things I always say is when you feel like you're in a rut, start moving your body in a different way. When the body flows, the mind goes somewhere different. So if you don't work out, get out and walk. Get out, change the scenery that you're around. Get out into nature somehow. Allow yourself to just be open. You can actually affirm, I am open and receptive to something new in my life. Don't try and figure out what it is, but I'm open and receptive to something new. If you move your body, your thinking starts to change. And ultimately, that's what we're talking about. Again, I talk about Joe Dispenza's work. Joe talks about how most of us wake up every morning thinking the same thoughts. We're either worrying about our problems, anticipating problems, running the same loops over and over and over again. So Christy, your loop might sound like, I just feel like I'm in a rut. Everything just feels so stagnant right now. Oh, here we go. Another day, same job, same thing, same breakfast, same commute. Start to just become aware. This is for everybody listening. Just become aware of your thought patterns. The moment you begin to pay attention to all of the thoughts you think about being in a rut, Christy, the moment you start to pay attention to those thoughts, you automatically break that pattern and you are no longer stuck in the rut of thinking about ruts. You're now observing yourself thinking about ruts, and you give yourself a chance to change that. This is true for any time we feel stuck in any way. The moment we start paying attention to, what do I think about being stuck? How do I feel about being stuck? What do I do when I'm feeling stuck? What do I think? How do I feel? What do I do? When we draw more attention to that information, we automatically separate ourselves from the neural pathways that are running, that are keeping us in the same place that we're in. So that's why I say, Christy, move your body and go out. As a matter of fact, you can do this. Here's a great little exercise. I want you to sit down and make a list of every thought you think about being in a rut. Take out a piece of paper, every single thought you think. I'm lazy, everything's the same, I'm bored with my life, I feel stagnant, every day's boring, I do the same old thing, there's nothing new, like whatever it might be. Make a list of all of the thoughts you think, and then every day for a week I would add to that. Read over all those thoughts and add to it any other thoughts that occur to you. And then you can make a list of all of the feelings. How do you feel when you think those thoughts? And make a list of all of those feelings. Just doing that exercise, Christy, without any conscious changing on your part, is going to shift things for you, because it's going to move you out of that chronic way of thinking that keeps you stuck. And then when we break those neural pathways, those neural networks, when we break those patterns of thinking, suddenly new things start to show up in our life. New people show up. New feelings show up. New experiences, new invitations, new opportunities. I'm telling you, it's magical. But it all starts with this thing in here, this brain that is running the show. We need to take control of that brain instead of letting it run us. So becoming aware of your thoughts, how you think about being stuck, how you think about losing weight, how you think about making more money or dealing with lack, how you think about creating more abundance or the lack thereof, how you think about that relationship you don't have. Becoming aware of all of those thoughts automatically puts you in the driver's seat. You are no longer being run by those programs. You are now paying attention to the programs that are being run, and you can make changes. All right, let me take a sip of water. Hi, Terry Stanton Brown. It's lovely to see you here, and I'm glad you like Joe Dispenza. That's why you and I think we have so much in common. So Kathy says, I've been so depressed lately, dealing with a lot of things, including losing my mom. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm an only child. Mom has advanced dementia, and I'm grieving the loss even though she's still alive. Yeah, no kidding. With no siblings to lean on or help with her care, it's breaking me down. Nothing I do makes me happy anymore. Not eating, not sleeping. It's not fair to my kids. I have 8 kids. Wow. I'm exhausted physically, emotionally, and exhausted physically and emotionally. It's making me very sick. Okay, so Kathy, everything you're saying to me sounds like you may actually be dealing with a real depression. And depression is not a coaching issue, it's a therapy issue. Sweetheart, you need to get support. It is not, first of all, I can't believe you're dealing with all of this. I don't know if you belong to a church and if there's some support there. I actually would really encourage you to contact your doctor. Let your doctor know that you think you're dealing with a real depression, that there's a lot going on in your life and you're not eating well, you're not sleeping, and you need help. And ask that doctor to give you a referral to a good therapist, somebody who specializes in dealing with depression. You can go to Psychology Today's website. They have a Find a Therapist. I'm going to just make a note of that so I can put that in the resource section. It's very important that you get help, Kathy. Given all that you're dealing with and how you're feeling and what you're saying, if you were my client, I would be referring you to a therapist, somebody who specializes in depression, because think of it this way. If you can't see, if you can't see distance, let's say you can't see beyond 6 feet, I would be sending you to a doctor to get some eyeglasses. And if you didn't have those glasses, you wouldn't be able to see. I wouldn't be saying to you, Kathy, just try harder. Try harder. Try to see harder. Pick yourself up. Get with it. Just you can do this. Come on. Just try to. I wouldn't do that. I would get you glasses. And right now, you need treatment for your depression. You need somebody to support you, and then you need some physical support around you. I would recommend, if you've got, first of all, I'm assuming you're in the States. I don't know if you are or not. In the States, there's Medicaid, Medicare provides different kinds of potential support for dealing with aging parents. A lot of people don't know about it. But if you have a good friend you could go to a good friend and say, I'm really struggling and I need somebody to do some research for me. That would be such a gift to give a friend an opportunity to help you like that. I'm assuming with 8 children, some of them are older, maybe they could do some research for you. But right now, you got to deal with the source of the problem, which is you've got to be sleeping and eating and taking care of yourself, honey. And that goes along with depression. It's something I know a lot about. And I want you to get the help you need first so that you can go on to get the support you need. Telling you to arrange physical support right now is just another to-do on an already long, exhausting list. You need to get some help. All right. Let's see. I'm going to take a few more questions. I'm going to probably end a little bit early because of the construction. I have poor little Poupons locked in a room, terrified because they were sawing right outside the room that he was in. Let's see. Pia says, how do you suggest letting go of emotional pain from past transgressions in long-term relationships, family? I want to forgive and let go, but I just can't seem to do it and move on. Pia, most people who have a lot of pain from the past and are hungry to forgive need to do some emotional healing work in therapy. Again, if you were my client, I'd say that's probably a therapy issue, not a coaching issue. Not probably. It is a therapy issue, not a coaching issue. We can't forgive before we process the experience and understand how it's impacted us, how it's triggered us, without dealing with the trauma that's in the body, in the mind, in the heart. And we can't do that. It's rare that we can do that healing alone. We need to get support. And I would recommend the support of a good therapist that can help you really work through some of those, quote, transgressions that you talked about from your relationships. Forgiveness, I find, is the natural occurrence that happens when we've really worked through the pain of the past. Most people want to jump to forgiveness because they don't want to deal with the pain. We're such a pain-phobic society. The reality is every challenge we're faced with, somebody not being nice to us, somebody hurting us in a deep and traumatic way, let's say, every challenge is an opportunity for us to grow, to get to know ourselves more deeply, to become more evolved and conscious human beings. And we can't just practice forgiveness without doing the healing work. Otherwise, it's never really forgiveness. We end up being re-traumatized because we find ourselves back in relationships with people that we haven't done the healing work with, and the old pain just creeps up on us again. So it's not loving to other people as well. So I would recommend doing some therapy, Pia. That's what I think would be a great way to begin the forgiveness process. All right, let's see. Hi, Joel. I'm glad you enjoyed the eclipse. What do I see for myself in this new moon eclipse? Well, I see the end of construction. What do I see for myself? Well, you know, I see the certainly release of my next book, of course, which will be happening in December 19th, just before Christmas, and it's now on Amazon. You can pre-order it. It's called Waking Up in Winter, In Search of What Really Matters at Midlife. That's certainly going to be something new for me. And every day feels so new. You know, every day feels like a new beginning. I think, you know, for me, the biggest thing is just going to be launching this new book and this sort of campaign for engaging more in our inner life, engaging in the process of journaling, because this new book is a memoir in journal form. I've been journaling for over 40 years, and this book is going to teach people just showing you exactly what a journal looks like and what it means to live an ever-evolving life, you know, trying to live a conscious life, a life committed to growth. And so that's what's new for me. I wonder what's new for you, Joel. You can type in and let me know. Let's see. Great, Christy. I'm glad that's helpful for you, sweetheart. I'm glad that you'll be implementing some of that. Let's just do this. Let's see one more. Thanks, Sherry and Christy. Yeah, thanks, Christy. Oh, yeah. Hi, Christy. Hi. Yeah, Christy Speranza is here. She's a great psychotherapist. And Christy, I think you work with people too via Skype and the phone, don't you? Do me a favor and just put your website up there. I know Christy and I know her work, and she's really wonderful. And of course you would agree about the deep inner work because you do that as well. Christy's a really special gal, and I don't know if you specialize in dealing with depression, Christy, but you can also put that as well. But please do me a favor and put your website there. I'd love for people to check you out. And also your videos. You've got some great videos on YouTube with some great tips for things like becoming more mindful. And I love it. Christy's also a yoga teacher, so she combines the mind, the heart, and the body, which I think is also incredibly important. So yeah, put your website up there, sweetheart. It'd be great. I'd love for people to know about you. All right, let's see. You know what? I think I can hear people knocking on the door. I think I'm going to wrap up. And I'm going to wrap up by just really encouraging all of you to check out Joe Dispenza's work. I really love what he's doing. I have for a long time, and I just find that, especially when I do these Facebook Live sessions, I find that so many of the questions that come up are really addressed in the work that he's doing. So Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is his book, and in particular, the introduction to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Joe also has some great meditations on iTunes too that I highly recommend. So when we finish here, I'll post the resources that I talked about in today's Facebook Live post. And as always, I so appreciate all of you for being here with me today. Sorry I have to cut it a little bit short. It's just a little crazy central here today, people, but it's going to be ending soon. And like I said, I'm so grateful that we've got really, really wonderful people on the job. King of which, my king is Larry Legend, we call him. Larry is the man who's managing our this whole construction. You know, everybody should be so lucky I can't even call him a handyman. He's not really a handyman. He's the legend. That's what we call him, the legend. And he's managing the whole thing, and I so appreciate him for that. So that's a big shout out to you, Larry Legend, just in case you happen to see this. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'll look forward to next week. Remember, subscribe at CherylRichardson.com for the weekly newsletter, and you'll know first, before anybody else, when the next Facebook Live is going to happen. If you look up, you can see the blue button right here on Facebook that says sign up, and you can go to CherylRichardson.com. All right? Very good. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Lots of love.